This bill seeks to amend the Niger Delta Development Commission Act 2000 to include states that have attained the status of oil-producing states with similar circumstances as those listed in the Act when it was passed. In this era of change, where government is desirous of raising revenue for development, the discovery of crude oil in new states in the country can only amount to additional revenue for the government. Following the discovery of oil in Bauchi, Lagos, Ogun, these states have officially joined the League of Oil-Producing States in Nigeria. Following the discovery of the crude oil in Alakari local government in Bauchi, Badagry in Lagos, Ipokia in Ogun, Baji in Kogi, and by virtue of this, these states are entitled to the 13% derivation that is due to oil-producing states according to the provision of Section 162, subsection 2 of the Nigerian Constitution. Mr. President, the purpose of this bill is for the Act to make provision for the new state who has joined the League of Oil-Producing States in Nigeria and for states that might eventually discover oil in the future, as opposed to the present position of the Act, which only covers oil-producing states within the Niger Delta region. Furthermore, the inclusion of the new oil-producing states in the Act saves costs and follow precedents. In conclusion, the amendment is to accord the state provision of the law, among other benefits accrued to oil-producing states in Nigeria, to the new oil-producing states and future oil-producing states. Following from the above, I am in support of the view that what we need is an amendment to the existing law already in existence, as opposed to enacting a new law that may be implemented due to conflicting with the existing law. I thank the Mr. President and my distinguished colleague. Mr. President, distinguished colleague, I so move. Thank you.
Second the motion, ably moved by Senator Olamulekon, and I so second. Can I go ahead to make my contribution, sir? I think this motion is timely, considering the new discovery of more oil producing states. And I want to believe that what is good for the goose is equally good for the gander. States like Borno that have discovered oil, and I remember very well the argument that the former MD of NMPC made here, that with such state coming on board, Nigeria will be able to be one of the largest producers if we harness our resources. So on this basis, I think it's only fair for us to consider those states that produce oil, because the consequences of exploration it's going to affect them equally. And it was actually, the whole motive and idea was to support states that produce oil and to mitigate against the consequences of oil exploration. And on that basis, I think it's only fair to include other states that are coming on board. Thank you, Mr. President.
What I don't know is whether the oil are in commercial quantities and they are also drilling them out for sales and the money going to Nigerian coffers. That one, he has not expatiated on that one. But I congratulate them for discovering oil there. We want oil to come out from every soil in the country. Are they exploring the oil? Are they refining the oil in these places? And has the oil caused any devastation in that environment? Mr. President, the purpose of the Niger Delta Development Commission Act is not just because they found oil there. It's because the place had been so devastated, and there is a need to see how they can remedy the place. And because that place is so backward, That far did not start now. You can refer to Wilson Commission in the 1950s. The same recommendation was made. But we observe something. Each time there is a bill or there is a law to support a backward people, to support the people who are suffering, Nigerians will come out after a couple of years to dampen, reduce the strength of that law. Today, we have river basin development authorities all over the country. But that was actually recommended by Wilson Commission for the people of the Niger Delta region who are suffering at that time. So, Mr. President, there is nothing wrong that they are giving their 13% derivation. That is, if funds from those oil that are discovered are now in the market space, they are exploring them, they are exporting them, so they can check like other states, what quantum of oil are you supplying? And so they now pay the 30% derivation. The 30% derivation is not equal for all the states. It comes in different percentage based on production capacity. So I think it's automatic. If we have a production capacity and it's a 1 million barrel per year or whatever, they will pay you. But if you are not producing and you are not in the league of those who are producing oil, and enjoy that they discover oil under your ground, and so if you put in this one, this amendment does not stand the test of the ground. It doesn't stand the test of the ground because the parameters for the 13% is based on quantity of oil that is produced, that is being exported, that is being used by the country. So if they are producing oil, is also we are extracting it from the ground, they are selling it, it is not paying money to the Nigerian treasury, then all such persons will be qualified. Every state in the country is qualified for 30% derivation, provided the oil they have discovered in that area is being sold or is being used or is being explored to improve the finances of this country. Thank you, Mr.
Senator Matthew Rogide.
I'm Senator Matthew Urogide. I represent Edo South Senatorial District. Mr. President, my very distinguished colleagues, I consider it a privilege to make contribution to this bill that is being sponsored by Senator Adeola Solomon. Mr. President, first let me say I'm not particularly against the sponsor of this bill, but I just believe that this bill must be properly proceeded. Let us start from the definition. Niger Delta Development Commission. Today, the area that constitutes Niger Delta is very clear. The 9 states of the Niger Delta region that make up the region that the Commission is serving are very clear. Senator Sakibo just mentioned the issue of oil production and the quota. Today, what each state gets from 30% derivation is a function of production. That's not where I'm going. Today, Gombe is already or fast becoming a host community. Bauchi and some other states. But to take these states to say that they belong to Niger Delta region, it's not possible. In as much as I will agree that if there is a percentage that is meant for states that produce oil, be they in Sokoto, be they in Yobe, let them of course benefit from whatever percentage that they make for oil production. That does not make them to be part of the Niger Delta. I think we should proceed it properly. If the idea is that we want to share out of the 13%, they are at will as long as they produce oil. But to say that they must belong to Niger Delta, it makes mockery of the original idea in the creation of NDDC. NDDC that was created as a commission is an interventionist commission or body to mediate the long dilapidation or degradation of the environment. So I think we should be able to draw the line. The whole idea behind this bill is to benefit from 30% derivation. This same parliament can go ahead and make it 50%, make it 70% that everybody can benefit from. But to take one region in the north or take one state in the southwest and go and bring it to the south, this bill now will, so to make it Niger Delta Development Commission, you want to amend the act to bring in Ogun, to bring in Bauchi. I think Mr. President makes mockery of the original idea. Mind you, in 2001, this was the only bill that was vetoed by the National Assembly. And your very good selves from the other parts of the country, after having visited the region, you saw the level of dilapidation. You saw the misery. You saw the underdevelopment in the region. President Obasanjo was the president of Nigeria at that time. But the National Assembly vetoed it when he refused to sign that bill. So the sanctity of it and what must be maintained. We must be reminded the philosophy that was behind that bill and eventually that act. So, Mr. President, I want to crave the indulgence of my colleagues, the sponsor of this bill, that you should capture it, the long title properly, but the way it is now to bring other states in the north and the southwest into the Niger Delta makes a mockery of the whole idea. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The DSP.
To the states listed here in this lead debate, that is Bauchi, Lagos, Ogun, Kogi, etc., etc. And Anambra. I wish to congratulate them, Mr. President, as states that are now about to be classified as oil-producing states. I congratulate them, Mr. President. Just like my colleague from Rivers said, Mr. President, we look forward to the day when indeed all states in Nigeria will not only produce oil, but produce one form of mineral resource or the other. Mr. President, as I go and listen to this lead debate, there are two issues here. The first one, Mr. President, has to deal with the issue of whether or not these new states, these new quote-unquote oil-producing states, are entitled to the benefit of Section 162, Subsection 2 of the Constitution, dealing with the issue of 13% derivation. Mr. President, to us, that is not an issue. To the extent that they produce oil in commercial quantity and DPRO are so determined that this oil is being sold and the revenue is entering the production account, they are entitled. That is not the issue here, Mr. President. The issue is whether or not, the issue is whether or not, just because they're oil producing, they should come under the Niger Delta Development Commission. Mr. President, if you are ever looking for a meddlesome interloper, you don't have to go too far to find one. What this bill, this lead debate, clearly shows that my colleague from Lagos here is a classic meddlesome interloper. Mr. President, the Niger Delta Development Commission is a regional development commission. We must draw a distinction between the NDDC and the oil and minerals producing commission on PADEC. Mr. President, if this lead debate were made to introduce these states into the oil minerals producing commission on PADEC at that time, Mr. President, there would be no problem. But this is clearly a regional development commission. Mr. President, Lagos is not in the Niger Delta. Ogun State is not in Niger Delta. Even as we speak, Mr. President, we are having an issue with Ondo State. We are having an issue with Ondo State, Mr. President, being classified as a state under the NDDC. But the bulk of the problem we have today is because of that. Mr. President, I, as a senator representing Delta Central District, I have no objection, and indeed, I did support the establishment of the Northeastern Development Commission, NEDC. I supported it, Mr. President, in the 8th Senate. Mr. President, when the bill was brought here for the Southeast Development Commission, I also supported it. So too is the Southwest Development Commission. Mr. President, my colleague from Lagos should be told to pursue with vigor the establishment of the Southwest Development Commission and not the inclusion of Lagos in the Niger Delta Development Commission. So, Mr. President, I know that at this stage of this debate, this is a debate on the general principles, but it is important that we state our position clear and this early. I thank you, Mr. President, for this opportunity. Thank you very much.
The then former director of SSS, Mr. Hosford. Yeah. Now, in recognition of the fact that the desired intended results for the establishment of OPEDEC were not achieved, that was what led the National Assembly to sit down and carefully look at the uniqueness of Niger Delta challenges and come out with the Niger Delta Development Commission. And the reason being that there were agitations that were strictly bordered on degrading the environment of the Niger Delta by that time. And the government, in its response through the parliament, felt that these challenges were genuine. At one stage or the other in the history of this country, we had issues that were not too pleasant to repeat, but that we cannot deny that they existed, which almost shook the very foundation of this country. So, this bill, beautiful, considered as it may look, it may not be expedient to tie it to the Niger Delta Development Commission. Rather, in the same vein that Niger Delta has its unique challenges, Lagos itself has very unique challenges and requires intervention of Parliament for the purpose of addressing those challenges. And they have continued to build up. Today, for you to drive from Surulere to Apapa, you are looking for the whole day. The entire revenue of Lagos State, part of it has been heavily invested in order to alleviate this situation, but nothing appears to be happening that can show visibly that the result can be achieved. So my own thinking is that the fact that we have discovered oil in Lagos, the fact that we have discovered oil in Ogun, Bauchi, which are I don't know how to use this language, but we have equally found oil in Sokoto. Yes. And you remember, Mr. President, when we were doing the PIB bill, all these issues were canvassed that justified the decision that this parliament took, which some of our colleagues, for reasons best known to them, were not happy with it. But they knew that they were taking in the overall interest of this country. They knew. So my concern is this. This request is genuine. This request is founded. The parliament has a responsibility to intervene. But the intervention cannot be justified by aligning it to the Niger Delta Development Commission. It will create more problems that it seeks to solve. So my own thinking is that the intervention of this parliament should be a certain fund that can be used to address the challenges of these new areas where oil is found. And in doing so, we might have to recouch this bill at the committee level to capture the very essence and the reason d'etat for sponsoring the bill before the Senate. I am in support of the bill, but I believe that we can do a lot more by detaching it from the Niger Delta Development Commission and doing something extraordinary to address the challenges that these new places and such other places that may be found from time to time may face for the purpose of oil exploration. Thank you, sir.
Senator Ahmed Anjumo.
Mr. President, I am Mohammed Nanjuma Goje, representing Gombe, Central Gombe State. Mr. President, I stand to support this bill by a lot of reservations and amendments. One, the lead debate by the sponsor has either mistakenly, by commission or omission, omitted my local government in Gombe State, which also has oil. Alkaliri and Akko are the same, are contiguous. The oil is discovered between Alkaliri and Akko local government in Gombe State. You should have mentioned Akko, Gombe State, then Alkaliri in Bauchi State, so that Nigerians will know that this is not only Bauchi that has oil. Gombe State also has oil. But like the last speaker said, I support if eventually any state gets an oil, it should be entitled to that 13% derivation. But we should not tie it, just every state that gets oil should join Niger Delta. How do we justify Gombe State or both states joining Niger Delta? Doesn't make sense. But that will not disqualify Gombe State or both states from getting their 13% derivation if they have the oil. So I think this bill should be amended in a way that is a bill canvassing for the inclusion of states, whatever state that have oil, to be entitled to 13% derivation. But they don't necessarily have to be in Niger Delta region. When we presented our case for North Development Commission, it was because of our peculiar circumstances at that time, even now prevailing, just like the case of Niger Delta. So I really concur with the idea of giving us 13%, those of us who have oil, if we have, if it can be measured and quantified, but we don't have to be in Niger Delta. Thank you, Mr. President.
Those in favor that this will be